Hello! I wanted to talk about the sky. Because I don't know about you, but I am a big lover of the sky. It's like the sky is a museum that every day has a new exhibition. And I always think that the sky is like the canvas for angels to paint on it. I would stare at the sky literally all the time. I actually do it quite a lot. And I also take a lot of photos of it, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. So let's get a little bit more specific. So let's start with the crucial question. Day or night? Well, that might seem quite obvious, but in my case, it's obviously not. Because I prefer the day, which I think is quite unusual. Like, people usually say that they can think better at night. You know, the ambience is like better and they just love night because it's quieter. I'm not that type of person. I love the day because I am a lot more productive then. I feel it's because the sunlight makes it impossible to ignore the world around you because you see it, right? And that's why I can focus on it actually. And I almost never procrastinate. So, you know, during the day I just do everything that I have to do. That's the time when I actually live my life. But at the same time, I must admit that during the day, like from midnight to around 4 p.m., the sky is the most boring, I feel, because, well, I don't know, I just feel like it's boring, and maybe that's why I can focus on, you know, the work that I have to do, because I am not distracted by the beautiful colors or anything. Because, you know, blue is pretty basic. There is something that I don't like about sky at day, when there is a really hot day and there are no clouds and you see only a blank blue space. It really annoys me because it feels like it's a ceiling and it's way too low, and it feels like it's just above the peaks of the trees, and I really don't like the feeling. It's like I'm gonna touch it any time, you know? And when you see a cloud there, then you see that it's so high that there's no way you touch it. But when there are no clouds, it's like it can be any height. It makes me anxious. But then it changes, because then the night comes. And that's when the world doesn't matter to me anymore, like the external one, because then I focus on the inside of me. That's when the only real thing to me is my emotions, my friendships, memories. And I think that's also because there's nothing to really look at. The only exception is when, like, the moon's eye is kind of wide open. Some people can't sleep when the moon is like shining, and I also can't really sleep then. Like, I sometimes lay in bed and wonder why I can't sleep again, and I think that at least half of the times are because of the moon, you know? Okay, so I think that we are done with the basics, so let's get to the third basic actually, which is the cliche sunsets. Well, what can I say? I love sunsets, alright? It's like, I feel like the sunsets are so short that you can't really do anything during them. You can only stay here and like adore them. But there's nothing to say more about them because they're just sunsets, right? It's like all the colors at the same time, and just stare at it and be impressed. That's all you can do. And that's beautiful, really. Like, I love that. But you know what? If you love sunsets, then man, have you seen the sunrises? I hate waking up early, but I love staying up so late that you reach the sunrise. It's such an amazing feeling. It's like you've been through the whole night and finally you see the light, like the new one. I really feel reborn. Like, seriously, it's so symbolic to me. I love looking at it. And you know what? The photos that I chose, I'm not sure if this is an actual sunrise, because sometimes it's like, it's not that easy to recognize if it's sunrise or sunset, although they do look different, but I'm not sure, but okay. Anyway, I love falling asleep during sunrises, you know? I love it. It's so peaceful, in a way. It's like you don't have to be afraid that the other day will not come. Although sometimes you fall asleep and maybe wish that it will not. But then when you actually see it, like, beginning, you feel that, yes, that's what you actually want. So sunsets and sunrises are the times when you can just slow down a bit and enjoy the moment. But there is also something about the sky that makes you want to live in the moment, not only appreciate it. I mean, this moment just after the sunset, when the sky is actually the bluest, is the beginning of evening, you know, and I love taking walks during this time. It's like nothing can beat it. Whenever I experience that and I have the photo of it, I remember this moment. Like, I remember who I was with, where that was, what I was doing and feeling. So yeah, the sky just makes it special, you know. But well, you don't always have the time to really spend it properly, and sometimes it doesn't feel like you live your life, but you just survive through it. I'm talking about routine that kicks in during school or work. So well, I hate the routine, but there is something about the sky that really fits this routine, and that's when I can even appreciate routine that is really boring and depressive. Just because the sky makes it better, because it matches so well. And I'm talking about the fog, or the rainy sky, or maybe some of you can't really experience that, but also winter sky has something amazing in it that is so dull that I actually find it so beautifully interesting and just fascinating, you know? There is something fascinating about ugly, dull, boring things. If something is boring enough, then it actually starts being interesting, because, well, if something is so intensive, then you focus on the whole thing. But when something is boring, then you have the opportunity to look into details. It's like when everything is great and you notice all the 50 shades of grey, something like that. I am really glad that I actually finished school finally, but I think that a rainy sky or like foggy sky will always remind me of school, because school sometimes can be so depressive. You know, every morning would look exactly the same. You just wake up, do the morning routine, then like run to catch your bus, and finally, well, get to school. And this is like repeating every day. I would hate that. And that's when I started like relating to the sky, you know? That was as dull as my feelings inside, something like that. Okay, so that's when the sky like surprises you, because it's so boring that you actually get fascinated by that. But there are moments when you get fascinated because, well, there's no other way. Because when the God is speaking, boy, you do not ignore. It is literally God peeking through the clouds, or maybe like winking, you know? Like winking with laser eyes, because his eyes are the sun, like what? So this is almost unbelievable then, but it's so beautiful, I love it. But I guess that there are more unbelievable things that the sky does, and well, I have some photos saved that I don't believe in, like seriously, and there are no filters, like none of them were filtered. So, well, let's take a look and just enjoy the sky that we all have above our heads. By the way, this is the sky right now. I find it pretty inspiring.